Across Minnesota and the United States, African immigrant men face unique challenges as they navigate the responsibilities of fatherhood in a new and often unfamiliar environment. Today, these men have come together to share their experiences, support each other, and seek solutions to these issues that they face as fathers.
I put a group together of about 6 men, and we said we need to start conversations about fatherhood. Today was a day whereby we just come together and we talk about just our issues. And the most important thing, we said we want to make sure that each and every person will talk. So dear men, while we're here, let's talk about our issues. There's so many times in our life we don't talk about what goes on in our heart. There's so many times we don't ask for help. There's so many times we don't network. We assume everything is good in ourselves. And we have so many things going on. We have mental health, our families, our homes, the break. At least once a month, I'm taking 2 young Kenyan men to their detox center because of alcohol and drugs. Most of the time when we talk, we're talking about investments. We talk about how I'm going to go back home and invest. We talk about soccer. We know so much about European soccer history and the league, but we don't know what our families and our kids are going through. So we are failing somewhere. Another thing, we're working so hard that when you go out to the activities now, our kids, they are not well represented. Sometimes we don't take seriously. I've seen it because I've raised twins now, they're going to college now. There was a time the whole team is only my son and my daughter. And sometimes there were 2 kids from another community. They would just come, the parents would just come, leave the kids there, and go back to work, and then come back again and pick the young man or lady, then go back home. So we miss to have those moments when the kids are making, when they are happy, when they are playing, we are not in that space of celebrating their achievement. This space will be now opportunity now. We talk. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then number 1s will go together. Number 2s will go together. Number 3 will go together. So come together. If you wanna go out somewhere, then just go and discuss about the issues that men go through. That's the only topic I'm asking. Issues that men go through. Then you are going to have one of you will come and tell us what you are discussing.
This gathering is not just an event. It is a safe space where African immigrant men can openly discuss the struggles they encounter, whether it's balancing cultural expectations, dealing with systemic racism, or striving to be present and supportive fathers in their families.
How to collect today can be a precipice for actions from the Fatherhood Foundation. So that way we can find resources, or maybe better yet, solve or assist in solving those issues that we share here today. So it is an opportunity for all of us, and I'm glad I see some youth, because this is not just about men, adults, but men in every spectrum. So please be open-minded and share your ideas, your feelings, your issues that you've encountered, so this group can be more productive.
During their meeting, the men break out in sessions. In these breakout sessions, the men delve into personal stories, discussing the pressures they feel to succeed, the difficulties of finding work-life balance, and the barriers they face in accessing resources and support. They also talked about the impact of these challenges on their mental health and relationships with their children and spouses. From their discussions, they shared that sometimes they feel like they have to be strong all the time, but it's important to recognize that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Today, they're gathered here to lift each other up, to remind each other that they are not alone on this journey. After the breakout discussions, the men came together as one, sharing insights and common themes from their conversations.
Started with the family. We were saying how challenges men face in the family can affect how the family is run and like the relationships between that family. So like how the husband and the wife, if they respect each other or they like disrespect each other, the kids can in turn see that behavior and then copy that. Because from young until they're like maybe 18 or something, all they know is copy. So they'll just replicate that behavior and then it'll create tension within the house.
One of the things we found is raising the kids in America. As a majority of men here, they were born in another country and now they are living in America. So there is a culture of a country of origin and a culture of country of residence, which is America. Most men say that that's one of the big challenges they get here, and they end up getting depressed. They get many mental issues. All of them are number one stress of issue for men is raising kids. You come with kids from Africa where you say, hey, do this, they don't. Ask, they do. Now your kids come here, few days they go to school, they come back, you tell them to do this, they say, why? That's your work. That stresses men. And once a man is stressed, he will not work. When he does not work, he doesn't have more money. And when you miss money, you become more depressed. Men fail to connect with their children, more especially sons. Sons confide in their mothers more than they confide in fathers. Simply because fathers don't know how to connect with their sons. And now in the process, men become depressed because they feel the sons love their mothers than they love them. But really, the challenge is, it is us men who don't know how to connect. Men need to start a conversation with their sons. Another issue we found, men not talking with other men about the problems they are going through. Confiding in men. A man feels that if you tell another man is a sign of weakness. Men should not die with their own problems. Talk to other men, like we are sitting here. Let us share. If you are having a challenge with your child, your wife, it is always good to talk. It's not a sign of weakness. Express your feelings.
Men don't talk about the issues. I think that is true. If you agree from the last presenter. This kind of leads to, when you don't talk about issues, then that's when now it's mental health issues, and sometimes if you have things to deal with, then you're trying to do substance abuse, alcohol abuse, and all those things as a result of that, which is my sixth and seventh point. One of the other challenges men have is many times in your jobs you're trying to go up the ranks, and then the discrimination that happens, and you don't rise as you wish or as you should, and that becomes a problem for men. One of the other things that we talked about is sometimes society here tends to favor women in some way, shape, or form, and so men have a challenge with that. One of the ones I didn't hear from anyone else was our group talked about men having side chicks. And pangos. And if you're trying to have that from your wife, it's stress. And then now instead of being open and working together, guess what? You're trying to have something extra for the other person.
We started with the men having a hard time to open up. So it explained. Men sometimes they don't want to be defeated. Sometimes you find that I'm having a challenge or a problem. If I open up to my friend, I will get help. But men are not like that type. And that one is in our African immigrant community. Stigma. Men always. They don't want to share, or they don't want to look like they don't have. Even if they don't have, they want to look like they behave like they have, and that's the biggest challenge. It brings pressure, Communication, I talked about it. When mom does not provide, or is not able to provide, he doesn't want to, listen to the wife. Or sometimes he avoids so many, questions or challenges and concerns. He doesn't want to open up, and that becomes a big problem. Living a double life. I didn't hear anybody talk about this. We men, we are here, we are in Kenya, or we are in Africa. You see, you are working here at Campus, you want to buy land in Karen, you are building a house in Karen, you don't, do anything here with your family yet. It's simply because of the competition. And most of the investment that we are doing there is what we call paid investment, because at the end of the day, you may not even go enjoy or get anything from there. That is a big challenge in our community. Drinking, which brings now us to depression, substance abuse, and anxiety. Extended family pressure. And I think most of you here have witnessed this, especially my mother-in-law's comments, living with you here. Yes, you have time in your house. Sometimes you need time with your wife. You need to work maybe later in your wife's house. That woman is there, your mother-in-law. That is not helpful us in our community. Men don't like that. Number two, you find that, when you are married, or your in-laws, you are the ones who will provide. You are able. But on the contrary, from your side, your wife does not want to see anything on your mother or your family. And those are the big challenges that we have in our community. There is another one here, income inequality. And this is the weakest joint for men. You find that you are here, you came here, you brought your wife here. Because you want to build your family, you take your wife to school, or you provide an ample environment for your wife to go to school. She goes, it becomes, a nurse, a doctor, something like that. You are just maybe a nursing assistant there. Your income does not match. You will go to school too. Yeah, if she's going to be a nurse, be a mechanic, right? Yeah, or be a painter, something which brings money, you see. And then you can see what the problem is. Yeah, and this is where now a man feels like, inequality comes in. An African man does not want to be, looked down upon. That, this woman, even the communication becomes a problem. How do you talk to me like that? You see? Do you know that I'm a man? You see? With this culture, women are easily attacked. But we, men, is a big problem. Thank you so much.
The power of their collective voices is evident as they speak on topics ranging from fatherhood roles to the importance of cultural identity and the challenges of adapting to life in the United States. They also spoke of their challenges as men, which often stretch sometimes to that of taking care of their children.
These are the realities that we face, and sometimes we don't dare to talk about it. We are ashamed to talk about it. And that's what this group will bring to light. So we can educate ourselves, support ourselves, assist and possibly provide resolutions for some men that will go back home and adapt those ideas and make their lives better. So I want to thank each and every one of you here today.
Some experts and brothers and elders who were also present gave words of advice to men. They shared how as men it is essential to model resilience, empathy, and openness for their children.
I know most of you, but I don't know if everybody knows me. My name is Dr. Semakula. I'm from Tanzania, native to Kenya. I feel very honored also to have an opportunity to be with you, and I like it because I think it's a challenge that we're missing in our society, and it's amongst ourselves. I was going to comment one thing about why men are not talking, in terms of keeping things. And I think the biggest issue here is trust. Who are you going to talk so that you know you trust your information is in the session? And we have a big difficulty on identifying this is a trusted friend. So how can we create a trusted friendship amongst ourselves? And I think that's a very important thing, because every time I found if I had something that I want to share, I'll share it with somebody that I trust, that I'll get a positive or negative feedback, but at least it stays within the confinement of what I'm comfortable with. When you have your spouse making more than yourself, I think coming from the culture, African culture, that we are used, a man being the dominant and the caretaker of the family, I have, at least myself, I think I've had an opportunity of living across different cultures. I've been to Europe, Asia, here, and stuff like that. And I know some of the men from here, this culture is not unusual because the way the society has been built up. So they understand these things from the beginning. And sometimes you can see, I had a man who decided to stay at home because the wife is a vice president. But the marriage is still working well because of the understanding. So I think the biggest problem we have here is we have our wives who are coming up with a different mentality from back home, and now suddenly they have that superiority. So I think if you find yourself in that predicament, you have to have a really good understanding and a sort of a conversation before somebody relates to that. And that's the addition I wanted to say. And the last correction, you said African men like sex, but I think all men. I've seen Chinese, I've seen Asian, I've seen white people. I was when my first trip outside the country, I was in Belgium, and when I witnessed what my professor was doing, and both him and his wife were there. It was the same, but still a lot of things are happening. So I think this has a lot of physiology. Being a doctor, I don't want to guide a lecture here. But there are a lot of things that we can pay attention to that aspect that if you have an opportunity to discuss openly this with your spouse, it can help. But usually we have difficulties in having a to and fro discussion with spouse because they come up with different mentalities and different things.
They also shared that it is equally important to take care of themselves as men, to seek out communities like this where they can be honest about their struggles and receive the support that they need. The elders also emphasized the importance of building a strong support network, prioritizing mental health, and embracing the dual identity of being American and African. They stressed the need for these men to stay connected with their roots while also adapting to their new environment in ways that benefit their families.
Tanzania, I'm a lecturer at the university. I am a psychologist by profession and a mental health expert. And I'd love to see that African men are coming together. Maybe a few things, just as a reminder, and I also think we've been talking together, and I had a very wonderful group one, and we've been sharing these things. I was just a counselor, then because of the sexuality problems, I had to go and do part of my postdoctoral about sex therapies, because I kept to realize most of my clients, they struggle with what you call the sexual issues. And it's irrespective of color, like we're Africans, so we all face that. So a few things that to remind ourselves, despite the fact that we have a lot of needs and a lot of demands, a lot of eyes that are looking for us on finance, but let us remind ourselves that we will never be able to solve all our financial problems at once. One of the best areas that makes mental health issues for men is the area of finance. So let's understand that you can never make all problems at once. Then, number two, make sure you plan for rest and sleep. You know, for us men, sleeping and resting, it has to be on a schedule, you have to plan. But most of us, because of issues, especially of the rat race life in this country, we come to realize, and you know, for us men, not sleeping is something to be proud of. And you proudly say, you know, I have slept only 1 hour. And you think that is something to be proud of. I'm glad that doctors are here. And I was reading one of the research from the University of Columbia right here, and they've written something called Why We Sleep. And I came to realize a lot of physical health problems that we men are facing are a result of us not having rest and not having enough sleep, including problems related to testosterone. So we come to sexuality. So we don't rest, we don't sleep, and then you want to have a nice game with the mama, and the mama is giving you a nice game, you can't do it. Determine yourself to get rest. You know, sometimes we become busy and we forget that we are human. So let's learn to engage in things that we love. You know, some people tells me they think hobbies get expired with age, but that's not reality. You know, you can be 60, 80, 90, you still have your hobby. So engage in some things that you love. You know, man, I love these things. You know, when we talk here, we love, you know, you might find you're talking to a guy, the whole week you've never laughed. But when you're here, at least you laugh. So you engage in things you love. It's swimming, if it's driving, if it's go for a friend for a coffee or something. Just engage in something you love. You'll never know how that contributes too much to your self-esteem. Research shows people with low self-esteem, they automatically go for depression. 65% of the people with depression, they commit suicide. That's why you go to research for suicide, you come to realize men leave. Why? Because we have a lot, and you have said in groups, we don't talk, we pile up. And when we pile up, physical health problems that are stress related are killing us. You know, high blood pressure, the low blood pressure, the kidney issue, diabetic, a lot of other things. That can't realize, yes, they might have other roots, but then stress is also part of it. Maybe the last, let's learn to also check our health regularly. You know, doctors usually tells me, it's very easy for a woman to just feel something and say, let me go and check. But most of our wives, they will always remind us, have you checked? I say, I'll check tomorrow. Have you? I'll check tomorrow. And come to realize, why would I so often because come to realize you were detected with something that when a doctor looks at you, it's completely in the terminal stage. Why? You felt and you go check. So I know we're very busy. And it's being proud, and it's natural we are created to be busy, but let us not forget ourselves. We need to live because our family needs us. Our kids need us. Our economy needs us. Maybe the church, maybe everything. So let's take care of our physical health. Thank you very much, guys.
Today's gathering was more than just a meeting. It's the beginning of a movement that encourages African immigrant men to come together regularly, to talk openly about their challenges, and to work collectively towards solutions that strengthen their roles as fathers, husbands, and leaders in their communities.
These will be information that we will hold, and then we can use this. Again, the goal of this meeting is for us to look at this information, digest it, and then try to deduce some of them and possibly rank them in order of prioritization, and then try to take actionable steps towards these things as part of our broader idea of the Global Fatherhood Foundation, and see how we can either one, digest it, and then make some deduction out of it, rank them as we see fit, and then start looking into actionable steps that emanate from this conversation.
Now, I want to remember, this is the first session only.
Through these conversations, these men are not only empowering themselves, but are also creating a legacy of strength, resilience, and unity for the next generation.